Hey, welcome back to this episode of 𝘑𝘦𝘴𝘵, where we are continuing to work on our 1979 Pontiac Trans Am with the Sniper EFI fuel conversion. Today we are going to continue working underneath of the hood, cleaning up and getting ready for installing all of the new stuff. I did end up picking up a wiring harness and an alternator, which you saw in the last episode. Our alternator was broken, and the wiring harness, I was concerned about whether or not it was going to be sufficient enough or in okay enough condition to run with the newer products. So I ended up picking up the American Auto Wire wiring system for the 1979 through 81 Trans Am. It is not necessarily just straight plug and play, but it is pretty darn close and incorporates a lot of modern features. It already has connections for the electric fans and some other things. I even has a harness in there for when I want to upgrade to more of a modern instrument cluster. We also, like I said, we also picked up this Power Master alternator. It is a 150 watt or 150 amp alternator. It should be more than plenty to run what we need in this car. But we do have a lot of work underneath of the hood, and we will get into that as soon as we get back from this intro.
Snow, red sky, reach up for so high, blue eyes, fake cry, beware of the fox tonight.
Alright, so as I said before the intro, we did pick up this Power Master alternator. It is nice because it's not all chrome, considering this car is going to appear to be stock. We'll go over it more in depth when we're ready to install it, but it's a nice unit. 150 amps, I do believe, if I am correct. Hopefully it is the right one for... Okay, I gave myself a scare because I saw it say Ford upgrades. I had to double check. Yes, this is a GM alternator. It does give us the specs of what it runs. 110 at idle, 128 cruise, and 163 top end. So yeah, it is a 150, 148 actually, but close enough, more than I need. So that's the alternator, and then we have the American Auto Wiring Systems harness. I will go more in depth in this in another video, but it comes with a nice book, excuse the wind outside. Instructions for everything, and everything comes in individual baggies with everything that you need for the most part. So we will dive into this in another video. Today I'm basically going to start pulling stuff out of underneath the engine bay and getting ready for putting this stuff in, cleaning up, and we're going to clean up and paint the inside of the engine bay along with the engine. I did end up picking up, where is it? Did end up picking up the Pontiac metallic light blue paint for the engine. It is the same paint that this was originally. Well, not originally, but when I bought it. So we will get that looking all spiffy and nice again. And cut back in a second, and we will dive into removing what's left of the wiring harness out of the engine bay, pulling some parts to make painting easier, cleaning some stuff up, and we'll get a coat of chassis black and some blue on the engine. Alright, now that we got the hood open on this car, I had already, it's been a couple weeks since I filmed the last video. I have gone ahead and done some of this stuff. This front rad support has been resprayed. I did get the top of the headers But I haven't gotten completely all the way through. There's some things I wanted to do. Number one, I want to remove the rest of the wiring harness out from underneath this car. Probably pull some stuff like the windshield wiper motor. Pull the battery out. Get some stuff out of the way so that way I could throw a coat of paint on it and not get paint on those and don't have to tape out around it. So let's get this part started and see how far we get. I'll throw this up on a time lapse here and basically just pull everything out from underneath this engine bay that we don't need in here right now. Alrighty, so after crawling around on the floor for a bit and doing some other work, I touched up the paint underneath while I was down there. I also removed the original starter, as we're going to replace that anyway, and I needed to disconnect the wires that are going to it to remove the rest of the wiring harness in the front of this car. So that is completely disconnected. We'll pull that to the side so we can refer to it when we are putting the new wiring harness in. I got a few more odds and ends up here on the top to move out of the way, and then we can start spraying the top half of this engine bay. Like I said, I did the underside while I was down there. I'm going to drop the car back down on the ground. We'll put the starter in at a later date. But yeah, so far right now, all of the wiring in the front of the car, well, except for the HVAC wiring, because the new harness does not come with HVAC. Not that any of that's hooked up. I might just remove it. But anyway, all the wiring's out of the car. Let's get this engine bay finished cleaned up, and then we will mask off and spray the top half of this engine bay. Alrighty, and with that being said, I have everything out from underneath of the hood I think that I want out. Besides the air conditioning harness, which right now I just have laid on top of the engine because we're going to spray the black first. I do need to still pick up my other fender well, but I'll get that at a later date. Just going to clean this up a little bit, wipe it down, and then we'll spray it black and we will get back to you. Not quite sure where I left off. I kind of got carried away. We threw a coat of chassis paint on the underside of the hood. Oh my god, it looks so much better. We finished up painting the engine bay black where it's going to be black. And we did throw a coat of primer and the blue on the valley pan because the intake needs to go on that, and I can't paint the rest of the engine. I can't paint that with the rest of the engine. So that was done, and so was the underside of the intake. So we can put the intake on, and then we can work on getting the rest of the engine painted. We'll do a better job at a later date when we pull the whole engine out of the car and give it a fresh up. But for now, we're just going to give it a quick freshen up in the car. Alright, so I did the boring stuff off of camera. I have tapped all the holes, chased all the threads on the bolts, and gotten ready to the point to where we can start installing gaskets. Now, Pontiacs are a little weird. They have a water port that goes into here. I've already got some RTV sealant on that. You're going to have your water jackets on both front corners and along the sides. So what we're going to do is put some RTV sealant around all of the water jackets and get this gasket put up in place. And then we're going to set the head down on the engine. Alright, so after torquing all of the bolts down to 40 foot-pounds, I've got this part ready for paint. I still need to add a few bits, but I needed to prime and spray this spot here as the next part that goes on would cover it, and I wouldn't be able to get down in there after it was on. So I'm going to wait for that stuff to dry. I'm probably going to prime the rest of the engine while I'm waiting and get everything set up, and then we will prime and spray the engine. Alrighty guys, it's all painted. I've pulled all the wrapping, and here it is. Wow, love this color blue. Light blue metallic, original Pontiac color. Not for this year, but original Pontiac color. Just threw the sniper up there just for some contrast and for looky-loos. Yes, there's overspray all over the valve covers. I'm not worried about it. I am replacing the valve covers here at some point. But yeah, this car looks a lot better under the hood. So, part 2 of engine bay prep is complete. And next video, I do believe we'll go through the wiring harness and check that out and see what we need to do to get that in the car, because I'm pretty sure that would be the next step in getting this EFI in, is making sure we have a solid foundation for wiring. So that concludes today's video. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. Please check out my merch, 𝘑𝘦𝘴𝘵.com. All sales go towards the videos. I got some cool stuff up there. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. By the way, if you made it this far, leave Pontiac Blue down in the comments. All right, catch you later.